Hello and welcome to today's YouTube session on Real Product Owner Interview Questions and Answer Series. I'm excited to have our guest Kanu with us today to share his expertise on this topic. And in this session, we will explore the real world questions faced by product owners and the strategies they employ to overcome them. Also, the questions that will be discussed today have been shared by our WhatsApp group members. So, thanks to all of them. And friends, a small request, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you find any value lessons from this session. So without further ado, let's welcome Kanu to this session on the Real Product Owner Interview Question and Answer Series. So welcome Kanu and thanks for giving your time today.
Hi, Sunan. Thank you very much. And I'm also excited to be again coming in this session.
Okay, great. So Kanu, if you allow, shall we start?
Yes, sure.
Okay. So before we jump to our PO questions, the very first question, and I think which is most commonly asked, is like, how is the role of a business analyst different from the product owner? So if you can just share
Yes,
your thought on that, and then we'll jump to the other questions, Kanu.
yes, sure. Okay, although there can be some overlap between the roles of a business analyst and a product owner, but there are distinct roles and with different responsibilities that they both share. So, a business analyst is primarily responsible for analyzing and understanding the business needs of the organization, identifying areas for improvement, and recommending solutions. Business analysts work closely with stakeholders from various departments to gather and document requirements, and they use this information to develop and improve business processes, systems, and products. BAs may also be involved in project management, quality assurance, and user testing. And on the other hand, a product owner is responsible for defining and prioritizing the product backlog, which is the list of features or requirements for a product or system. The product owner works closely with stakeholders, customers, and development teams to ensure that the product backlog is aligned with the organization's strategic goals. It meets customer needs and delivers value to the business. The product owner also collaborates with the development team to ensure that they have a clear understanding of the requirements and priorities and to make trade-offs between competing features or requirements as needed. So in summary, while both roles are important, a business analyst focuses more on analyzing and improving the business processes and systems, whereas product owner focuses more on defining and prioritizing features and requirements for a product or system. Thank you.
Okay, thanks Kanu for that. Okay. So the next question is, how do you balance short-term priorities with long-term vision as a product owner? And if you can give some examples of how you manage this in your role as a product owner.
Sure. So, the key to balancing short-term priorities with long-term vision is to prioritize both, but with a clear understanding of their relative importance. While short-term priorities may be important for an immediate success of a project or company, long-term vision is essential to guide future growth and ensure continued success. So, one way to balance the short term priorities with long term vision is to break down long term goals into smaller, actionable steps that can be prioritized and tackled in the short term. This allows you to make progress towards your long term vision while also addressing immediate needs. Now, for example, as a product owner, you may have a long term vision of creating a new product line to expand your company's offerings. However, in the short term, you may need to focus on improving existing products to increase revenue and maintain customer satisfaction. So, to balance these priorities, you could prioritize short term improvements that also lay down the groundwork for your long term vision. For example, you could focus on developing a new feature for an existing product that lays the foundation for the new product line you plan to launch in the future. So, in summary, balancing short term priorities with long term vision, it requires prioritizing both, but understanding their relative importance. Breaking down long term goals into smaller, actionable steps can help make progress towards long term vision while addressing short term needs. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kanu, for that. So, next question is, how do you gather and prioritize customer feedback to inform product development decision? That's a very important question. And if you
Yes.
can walk me through a specific instance where customer feedback influence a significant decision which you have made, so that will really going to help us, Kanu.
Yes, right. As a product owner, I do the idea which is there. I gather and prioritize customer feedback to inform product development decisions. Then I gather customer feedback, which can be done through various methods, such as surveys, focus groups, customer interviews, social media, and website analytics. The key is to ensure that the feedback which is received is collected regularly and systematically, and to pay attention to both positive and negative feedback. Once this is feedback is collected, it's essential to prioritize it based on several factors, such as the number of customers who gave similar feedback, the impact of the feedback on the product's goals, and feasibility of implementing the feedback. The way to prioritize customer feedback is to use the Kano model, which categorizes customer feedback into three categories. One is basic needs, second, performance needs, and third, exciting needs or excitement needs. So the basic needs are must have features that customer expects. Performance needs are features that can differentiate your product from competitors, and excitement needs are features that delights customers but aren't essential. So now I will just take an example of customer feedback influencing a significant decision that could be made when a product owner notices through analysis and customer feedback that customers were struggling with a particular feature. The feature was not intuitive, and customers had a hard time understanding how to use it. The feedback indicated that the feature was impacting customer satisfaction and therefore was a priority. So, based on the feedback, as a product owner, I decided to redesign the feature to make it more user friendly and intuitive, even though it required a significant development effort. The redesign helped increase customer satisfaction and engagement with the product, leading to improved metrics and feedback. So, gathering the gathering and prioritizing customer feedback to inform product development decisions requires systematic collection, analysis, and prioritizing the feedback, and that will help to decide to redesign it to improve customer satisfaction and engagement. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for that, Kanu. Okay. The next one is like, how do you work with cross-functional teams? So, for example, we have a development, we have a design team, we have a marketing team. So, how do you work with all these different teams to ensure the product success? And if you can also give some examples that how you successfully led a cross-functional team to deliver a product from start to end. So that will be a great help, Kanu.
Yes, sure. Like being a product owner, we work with cross-functional teams and actually to ensure product success. So first and foremost is effective communication and collaboration, which are essential when working with cross-functional teams. Product owners should ensure that everyone understands the product's vision and goals, as well as their roles and responsibilities in achieving those goals. So, product owners should also establish clear processes for collaboration and decision making, such as regular team meetings and feedback sessions. It is also essential to build trust and respect among team members, as this can help facilitate better communication and collaboration. The product owner, being a product owner, it should involve cross functional teams to throughout the product development life cycle, from ideation to launch and beyond. This includes gathering input and feedback from various teams and incorporating it into the product roadmap and development process. I'll give you an example like when working on a new product launch, a product owner may involve the development team in the ideation phase to ensure the feasibility of new features and functionalities. The design team can be involved in the development phase to ensure that the product is pleasing and user friendly. Once the product is developed, the marketing team should be involved with the product owner to create effective marketing materials and launch campaigns to drive awareness and adoption of the product. So, to successfully leading a cross functional team to deliver a product could be when a product owner was tasked with launching a new software product. The product owner worked closely with the development team to ensure that the product met customer needs and delivered on time and within budget. So, to summarize, I would say effective communication, collaboration, involvement of cross-functional teams throughout the product development cycle are essential for a product's success. Thanks.
Thanks, Kanu, for that. Okay, great. Okay, so next question is, how do you measure the success of a product? So if you can explain the key matrices which you use to measure the product success and how you determine those matrices. So that's again an important one, Kanu.
Yes, as being a product owner, I have to measure the success of the product. It's measuring the success of the product is essential to even determine its impact on the business and ensure that it's meeting customer needs. Product owners should establish key performance indicators, which is KPIs, and metrics to track the product's performance against its goals. So the key performance indicators and metrics used to measure product success will depend on the product and its goals. However, some common metrics used to measure the product success include user engagement metrics. User engagement metrics measure how user interacts with the product, such as the number of daily active users, monthly active users, time spent on the product, and user retention rate. Second is revenue metrics. Revenue metrics measures the product's financial impact, such as total revenue, average revenue per user, customer acquisition cost, and customer lifetime value. Third is customer satisfaction metrics. where we check the customer how much it is satisfied, such as net promoter score, customer satisfaction, and customer effort score. Fourth is productivity metrics. It measures how efficient the product is at achieving its goals, such as the number of tasks completed, bugs fixed, and the product's uptime. So, to determine the appropriate KPIs and metrics to the product's success, we as product owners should consider the product's goals and align them with business objectives. I would take an example. If a product owner's goal is to increase user engagement, they may track DAUs, MAUs, and time spent on the product. They may also conduct user surveys to gather feedback on the product's usability and user experience. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Kanu, for that. Okay, so the next one is again, I think it's there in almost all the interviews. So, how do you
Yes.
handle the conflicts between the stakeholders which are having a different priorities for your product? And if you can give some examples of any situation where you successfully resolve a conflict among the different stakeholders. So that's for you, Kanu.
Yes. So, being a product owner, we have to handle the conflicts between stakeholders with competing priorities for the product. So, conflicts between stakeholders with competing priorities are common in product development, and product owners must be able to navigate them effectively. The key is to identify the underlying concerns of each stakeholders and find out the solution that addresses everyone's needs. So, the first one is to identify the stakeholders involved in the conflict and understand their concerns. Then is prioritize the concerns of each stakeholder based on their importance to the product's success. Third is facilitate a discussion between the stakeholders to identify a solution that addresses everyone's concern. Fourth is ensure that the proposed solution aligns with the product's goals and vision. Then communicate the solution to all stakeholders involved and ensure that everyone understands their role in implementing it. So I would give an example of a situation where we were successfully resolving a conflict among stakeholders, and when a product owner was tasked with developing a new feature for a software product. However, there were competing priorities among stakeholders regarding which the features to prioritize. So the development team believed that a new feature should be added to improve the product's functionality, while the marketing team believed that the different features should be added to make the product more appealing. The sales team believed that the third feature should be added to increase sales. So there were a lot of conflicts between all these teams, and we had to prioritize it. So finally, doing the meetings with stakeholders, we understood what priorities should be taken. And after prioritizing the concerns of each stakeholder, based on their importance to the product's success, the product owner proposed a solution that included all three features. So the development team was responsible for implementing the new functionality. Marketing team was responsible for creating marketing materials, and the sales team was responsible for promoting it. So finally, the conflicts between the stakeholders with competing priorities are very common, and they should be solved by understanding each stakeholders, underlying the concerns, and prioritizing the concerns, and finally finding the solution that can help everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kanu, for that. Okay. This one is little easy, but I think this is again asked in many interviews that How do you manage and prioritize or order your product backlog? And if you can explain some approach or the tools which you use to manage and prioritize product features, that will be great, Kanu.
Yes. So managing and prioritizing a product backlog is a crucial part of any product owner's job. It involves identifying and prioritizing features and enhancements that will provide the most value to customers and the business. So, first one is collect and analyze customer feedback and data to identify the most important features. Then and enhancements for the product. Then prioritize the features based on their importance to customers and the business. This can be done using the prioritization framework such as MOSCOW, which we say Moscow method, where features are labeled must have, should have, could have, and won't have. So once we break down into smaller manageable tasks that can be completed in a sprint, continuously review and adjust the backlog based on the customer feedback and market changes and business goals. Then we can use these various tools to manage and prioritize a product backlog. So you can maintain a simple spreadsheet that can be used to create and manage a product backlog. Each row can represent the feature or task, and column can be used to track the status, priority, and estimated effort. Then a project management tool like Jira, Trello, Asana can be used to manage and prioritize a product backlog. These tools offer the drag and drop prioritization, sprint planning, and collaboration features that can help team manage and prioritize the backlog. Uh, Product management software is also there that can help us specialize product management software like ProdPad or AHA offer dedicated tools for managing the product backlog. So finally, a product owner is to identify and prioritize features and enhancements that will provide the most value to customers and the business by collecting and analyzing customer feedback and data, prioritizing them, breaking down the tasks, and adjusting the backlogs. It can really help us to get onto and align with the business goals and customer needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanu, for that. Great. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, and this is with respect to risk. So,
Yes.
how do you manage risk and uncertainty in product development? And if you can give some examples that how you successfully manage a risk or uncertainty in your project in the past, so that will be great.
So managing a risk and uncertainty is a very essential part of any product development. So as a product owner, I need to identify potential risks and uncertainties early on and develop a plan to mitigate them. So the very first step that I do is identify potential risks. I start by identifying potential risks that could impact the product development process, such as technical challenges, market shifts, or changes in customer needs. The second is assess the impact. Once I have identified potential risk, I assess the impact of each risk on the product development process and the business as a whole. Then I help the to prioritize the risks and determine the appropriate level of resources and attention to devote to each one. Then I develop the risk mitigation plan that outlines the actions I will take to minimize the impact of each risk. This involves creating the contingency plans, conducting additional testing, and re-evaluating the product roadmap. The third step is continuously monitor and adapt. I continuously monitor the development process and the market to identify new risks or changes in existing risks. Then I adapt the risk mitigation plan as needed to ensure that my product development process remains on track. So, for an example, I would say that successfully managing a risk or uncertain project is by the project should have a tight deadline, high complexity with many technical challenges and potential risks. So, as a product owner, I work closely with a development team to identify potential risks early on and development team to identify potential risks that were there and including additional testing, contingency planning, and mitigation. So with that, throughout the project, I did the continuous monitoring and following the project timeline, finally making it successfully launching the product on time and within budget, meeting the needs of the business and its customers. Thank you.
Thanks, Kanu, for that. Okay,
Yeah.
let's move on to our next question. So, how do you ensure that the product which you are developing is meeting the needs of the target audience? And if you can explain your approach to user research and how do you incorporate user feedbacks into your product development, because it will take a
Yes.
lot of time into doing that. So, how do you do all this, Kanu?
That's right. So, being a product owner, it's essential to ensure that a product that I'm developing is meeting the needs of the target audience. So, the user research is an essential tool that can help me to gather valuable insights about my target audience's needs, the preferences, and the pain points. So then I follow the following these steps. I conduct user research. So I start by conducting the user research to understand my target audience needs, preferences, and pain points. That includes the surveys, the interviews, the user testing, and observation. Then I analyze the data. The collected data from the user is researched and analyzed in identifying the patterns and trends. This helps me to identify the key needs and pain points of my target audience. Then I incorporate the feedback into product development. I use the insights from user research to inform product development, incorporate user feedback into product development process to ensure that the product meets the needs of the target audience. Then I test and iterate the product with the target audience and gather feedback on its usability and effectiveness. This feedback to iterate on the product and make improvements. Then I continuously gather the feedback from the target audiences throughout the product development process to ensure that the product continues to meet their needs and expectations. So, for one example of incorporating user feedback into product development is a mobile app development project. As a product owner, I conducted user research to understand the target audience needs, preferences. Based on their insights gained from user research, we developed a prototype of a mobile app. Then we conducted the user testing with a small group of users to gather feedback. And then we used this feedback to make improvements in the app and iterated on the design. Thank you.
Thanks, Kanu, for that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is like, how do you handle changes to product requirements or the scope? Because this is very pretty common. And if you can just, give some examples that how do you manage a change in a product requirement or scope, or how you communicate that change to the stakeholders. So that will be great, Kanu.
Yes. So, being a product owner, the changes to product requirements or scope are inevitable, and it's essential to handle them in a structured and a transparent manner without causing any misunderstandings and conflicts with stakeholders. So, the first step is to evaluate the impact. We evaluate the impact of the change on the product, including the timelines, budgets, and resource needs. Then the change is feasible and if it aligns with the overall product vision. Then second step is to communicate the change. We communicate the change with the stakeholders, including the development team, the management, and customers, if applicable, explain the reasons for the change, how it will impact the product's timelines, budget, and scope. The third step is prioritizing the change. If the change is feasible, we prioritize it within the product backlog, access whether the change should be implemented immediately or whether it can be included in the future release. The fourth step is reprioritizing the backlog. So once we know that we have to do the changes or keep it as a backlog, we reflect the changes in requirements or scope and ensure that stakeholders understand how the change affects the product roadmap and delivery timelines. The fifth one is monitor progress. Then we keep monitoring the progress of the change and adjust the product roadmap and delivery timelines as necessary and ensure that the stakeholders are kept up to date with the latest development. As an example, I managed a change in product requirements in a previous role. We were developing a web application for a client, and during the development process, the client requested a change to the payment processing system. So the change would allow customers to use a wide range of payment options. So to handle this change, we evaluated the impact on the change, including the budget, the timeline, the resources. Then we determined that the change was feasible and aligned with the overall product vision and communicated the change to the development team and management. Then we reprioritized the backlog to align with the requirements and scope. We communicated the change to the client. We explained the reason for the change and the benefits of the change. Then we monitored the progress of the change and adjusted the product roadmap and delivery timelines as necessary. As a result, the client was satisfied and the change and the product met their needs and expectations. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kanu. I think
Yeah.
this is all for today's session. So guys, we are going to create more parts for this particular series on product owner interview questions and answers. So thank you all for tuning in to our this interview sessions. And thanks, Kanu, for that. And we hope, guys, you found this session insightful and informative. And if you found this session helpful, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to our channel. And we have more great content coming up. So be sure to stay tuned. And we hope to see you again soon. So bye from my side,
Thanks,
Kanu.
Sunan.
Thank
Bye
you,
from
Kanu.
my side. Thank you.